Well, here we go. A little bit of Biden Twitter files, and I couldn't be more excited. I know that a lot of the shine is kind of off the Twitter files these days, but it's really an interesting thing to watch. It's an interesting thing to see for people who, don't want their constitutional rights infringed upon by the government that is using the tech sector, Silicon Valley, as an extension of themselves to hide from detection, to access essentially a loophole, to infringe upon our First Amendment rights and all sorts of other things that are just awful. And today also I'll be discussing all this on my live stream over at Rumble. I'm going to leave a link in the description below. I'd absolutely love, after you watch this, for you to come on over and join me. It's always a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun. Let's get into it. So Matt Taibbi shares Twitter files, Missouri versus Biden edition. And it's insane. And let's just get into it. Excellent work by Taibbi. Now, this is just published on his Substack, which I understand. Is there such a thing as a censorship enterprise? Unpublished material from the Twitter files provides more evidence for Attorney General's case. I know I said I wasn't going to do this, but I'm persona non grata on Twitter these days, and this material needs to get out there in the wake of the ruling in Missouri versus Biden internet censorship case. I'm invoking a political necessity exception to post hashtag Twitter files email that might be germane to the suit. So I'm not going to read the whole thing word for word because, Taibbi put this up and he deserves, people sign up and cover it. But it's interesting. It says, if the Attorney General who filed the cases are reading this, there's a lot in the files pertaining to the lawsuit, named defendants, plus a few items, some examples below. Pertaining to plaintiffs, a far larger amount of material seems to be relevant to the broader argument of the case, i.e. that companies like Twitter feared regulation and made content moderation decisions with this in mind. For the purpose of this article, I mostly left those documents out. What follows is just a small sample of other emails and documents pointing to a censorship enterprise. Again, this is Matt Taibbi over at his Substack. I'll leave linked in the pinned comment. To recap, last week, federal judge Terry Doughty issued an order barring a long list of federal agencies, from the FBI to the CDC to Homeland Security to State Department and many more, from meeting with social media companies to suppress protected free speech. This was a massive victory for both free speech and Louisiana Attorney General Jeff Landry and Missouri Andrew Bailey, and some validation for Twitter files reporters like Lee Fang, Michael Schellenberger, Barry Weiss, myself, and others who took heat for coming to similar conclusions as the Attorney General. Legacy media has been in a panic about the ruling ever since it came out on Independence Day. Either they've said stopping the deep state from censoring America is bad, like this amazing sad clown New York Times headline, GOP threatens spy agency surveillance tool. Or they've doubled down and continue to insist the censoring isn't happening, a la Clinton speechwriter Michael Waldman going on MSNBC to decry the, quote, conspiracy that somehow government has been censoring social media. Another Times piece even insisted, quote, collusion on social media companies like Twitter and the government was far from proven. With this, since acquiring Twitter last year, Elon Musk has echoed Republican arguments, releasing internal company documents to chosen journalists, suggesting what they claimed was collusion between the company and government officials, though that remains far from proven. Some of the documents Mr. Musk disclosed ended up in the lawsuit's arguments. I mean, it was not far from proven, more like far from pooping. Everybody who saw those documents knew, absolutely knew that it was there. I mean, they were going right down to Joe's six-pack and demanding that they be censored by Twitter for, for liking Trump or not liking Biden or Clinton or whatever. Quote, he continues, is it far from proven? I look back to check, and it didn't take long to recall that, quote, collusion between the company and government officials was so commonplace as to beyond argument. Here's one of the original emails, draft agenda for 10/14/20 USG industry meeting and weekly sync. Thank you for your ongoing collaboration, your virtual coordination center. This is Twitter meeting with government officials on the regular. There's broad evidence backing up the Missouri versus Biden claims of a censorship enterprise, including coordination with FBI, DHS, State Department's Global Engagement Center, numerous unnamed intelligence partners, even census officials, and the Democratic National Committee. For example, Judge Doughty, in his ruling, said the government significantly encouraged and coerced tech platforms into censoring content. What might significant encouragement look like? Here's the whole scheme in one picture. And here's an email from the FBI, blah, blah, blah. Hi, Elvis. This is Twitter replying to Elvis. That guy was the FBI agent in California, I think, if I remember correctly. Hi, Elvis. The following 3 accounts are not only believed to be associated with foreign influence actors, but also potentially being used to display the information that violates Twitter's terms of service. When available, can you provide these accounts to Twitter for further review, final disposition? In addition, if Twitter can notify us of any actions taken as a result of this referral, that would be greatly appreciated. And this is somebody from the Counterintelligence Task Force. Further down, it says, our FITF global unit saw these accounts and wanted to bring them to your attention. Please take whatever actions if you deem appropriate. This is like, telling them to do it without actually telling them to do it. Any idiot can read between the lines here. Oh, that was, Elvis Chan at the FBI. On June 11th, a senior FBI official in Washington emailed the FBI's San Francisco office asking about 3 accounts and to advise of any actions or actions taken, quote unquote. The FBI agent in San Francisco passed the note to a Twitter lawyer. The next day, Twitter responded, we have suspended the accounts. From FBI whim in DC to Bay Area to Twitter suspension, the sequence took 24 hours. It wasn't written as a direct order, but subsequent events showed it might as well have been. Though a senior Twitter lawyer, in that case, ordered the accounts suspended, a technical issue left them up 2 weeks later, triggering a WTF email from the original FBI man. I hope all is well. As of June 23rd, 2020, the content associated with Twitter accounts appeared to still be accessible. Since the account was originally referred to Twitter on June 11th for possible terms of service violations, I wanted to follow up and see if they were truly suspended. In addition, I also wanted to reach out to see if Twitter's investigation into the 3 accounts, PotusBox, GoTrump, and Deep Notion, allowed them to identify any other, quote, linked accounts. So they're saying, do these people operate any other accounts that you could also suspend? We'd really appreciate if you would also suspend those accounts. Translation, we sent a letter 2 weeks ago. Why the F are these accounts still up? Also, while you're cleaning up that mess, could you send us a new list of, quote, linked accounts for, quote, lead purposes? To quote Office Space Twitter Trust and Safety Chief Yoel Roth quickly apologized and, quote, fixed the glitch. Hi, Stacia. Hi, Elvis and team. Wanted to briefly follow up with the following review. First, I wanted to apologize for confusion here. A tooling bug on our end resulted in one of the accounts not being correctly enrolled in our authenticity checks, which is why you saw it stay online even after the others came down. We've fixed the issue. Twitter viewed its relationship with the FBI as a tight, well-coordinated partnership that was based on trust. I mean, ultimately, where you have here, so what did working with the DNC, again, I don't want to read every little thing from this because, Matt did all this hard work, so and he should get credit for it. What did working with the DNC on high-profile escalations look like? In the case of Hunter, the president's son's laptop, it meant taking action against the article by Missouri versus Biden plaintiff Gateway Pundit that contained airbrushed images from his laptop or from his videos, as well as information on how to look them up and view the videos in question. which Twitter decided was violative. Some might say that's fair since its non-consensual spicy videos is in fact a violation of Twitter's policy. This was consistent with criticism of the Twitter files from the start that the DNC was only asking for material that should be taken down anyway. But even Twitter didn't think the large number of those tweets from ordinary people reported by the DNC for merely linking to the Gateway pundit deserved takedowns. Ultimately, Twitter decided tweets by Deplorable Karen and others were non-actionable and as non-consensual, so they ordered a spam review, resulting in suspensions for a different reason. Nearly all those accounts were suspended shortly after. So, of course, they suspended them anyway, right? Twitter was aware of the link between politics and content moderation when deciding whether or not to remove a tweet suggesting that some of Hunter Biden laptop's images contained pictures of daughters of the Senator Chris Coons. Twitter executive reminded each other that CEO Jack Dorsey would have to appear before him in court hearing in 3 weeks. I mean, you know, it's just so nuts. It's like there is no question that as a United States citizen, our rights have been violated, right? It's not unlike what goes on in boardrooms of big media companies. Roth is not so subtly telling the FBI man that even RT in Europe might be organically more popular than traditional mainstream media, among the other things because the latter sucks. The FBI man can't quite believe it and re-expresses his suspicion of the overlap between state media and inauthentic activity, trying to get, RT gone. There were similar exchanges when officials reached out to Twitter to ask if a foreign power was behind hashtags like walk away or accounts like went dem to rep. In later case, Washington Post strongly implied that Russia was behind the effort, but when senior FBI officials contacted Twitter to get more information, sending the Washington Post piece as context, Roth again had to let them down gently, telling them that the account in question is domestic and they saw no evidence of foreign interference. The attorneys general in Missouri versus Biden already has more than enough to prove in a cross-government censorship enterprise, but if they dig deeper, this is what they'll find. More communication in which ordinary accounts were removed by tech platforms that seemed afraid of their government partners and anxious to do anything to keep them happy. And again, I can't recommend enough, following Matt Taibbi on Twitter and, if you can, subscribing to his Substack, obviously. This is just a wild story that continues to fester, that needs more eyes on it. When you have these Supreme Court victories, it's amazing, and it needs to go to the national level. You see this in the Missouri government. This is from 5 days ago. Judge ruling on Missouri. Why a judge blocked Biden from contacting Twitter isn't actually a free speech win. Are you joking? MSNBC is melting down about this. First Amendment scholars and advocates say the ruling is too broad and partisan to advance free expression. In other words, MSNBC is raging that they can no longer censor people. It's an absolute joke. Hope to see you on my live stream. There's a lot more to talk about, obviously.